Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to our university virtual classroom. I put in a little something, some music to give us company for tonight's lecture. Let me adjust a little of this. So, wait, there, to put it into minimal. Anyway, let me commend some of my students for uh, what do you call this? For having that courage to really recite with our extemporaneous speech. So it takes a lot of skill for us to do that. Okay, so before we start, let me remind everyone that this lecture is for exclusive use of the University of Mindanao virtual classroom purposes only. And it is copyrighted by the University of Mindanao for that sense. So, moving on. As I have conducted for the last more than a week actually, or so, it's like 8 days of daily recitations on extemporaneous speaking with given table topics ahead. So, I noticed something that most of you begin with showing or telling everyone that you feel nervous about the activity, and I keep on reassuring you that this is normal. So I have decided to make a lesson out of stage fright. So for this purpose, okay. So moving on. So our topic for tonight would be about life skills, and particularly it is more on dealing with stage fright. Okay, so our goal for this lesson is that by the end of this today's session, students will be able to identify number one. Let me just I got this slide from slideshare.net. Okay, so number one, we have to at the end of this lesson you will understand the meaning and the reasons uh, of stage fright. I forgot. I did not share this. Okay, let me wait so you can follow. Okay, so going back. So the objectives here, okay, is you'll be able to identify the meaning and the reasons of stage fright. It's like in medicine, you have to determine the root cause of the symptoms. Stage fright is just a symptom. We have to determine the main cause, and we have to deal with the main cause in order to solve the problem. So the same way with speaking. So let's find out what causes it. Then let's determine the strategies for reducing the stage fright, and what are the signs of discomfort, and how do we build our confidence, and lastly how to have an impressive personality. Can you relate? Is that how you look in front of other people when you speak? A natural supplement for public speaking. Okay, the human brain is a wonderful thing. It starts working the moment you're born and never stops working until you stand up to speak in public. That's according to George Jessel. This is actually a funny quote in relation to public speaking, where your brain stops to work when you stand up in front of people. And this happens. Okay, moving on. Okay. So we have a comic strip here. You mean I have to stand up and say something in front of the class? Yes. So Webster Dictionary defines it as a nervousness before or during an appearance before an audience, I think. What happened here? And it's a formal talk. So it is called with many different names with the same phenomena. Excuse me. Assault stress, post-traumatic stress, numbing, disorder, PTSD, fear, phobia, or many other names, anxiety even. Okay, so a phobia with different names is for an unreasonable fear. So it could be called in many names: stage fright, speech anxiety, shyness, fear of speaking, or fear of performing. Performance anxiety, speech phobia. So it's not just applicable for speaking. It also happens whenever you are about to perform something like a dance or a song. Okay. Or acting something. So this might happen like uh, your quality of performance rises up in relation to the number of times you practiced. So on your final practice, you reach this high. Then, but when it comes to the final performance, your performance drops to this. It's because of stage fright. So what happens when you have to speak in public? So do you experience a mental blackout? Does your heart beat faster than usual? Or did you feel your blood rushing to your head and to your cheeks? So can you relate? So are you what's this? For Are you at a loss for breath? Ayun. So do butterflies attack your stomach each time you're about to speak? Or do you perspire more than the usual? So these are the usual symptoms for public speaking. Other than that, do you feel your hands cold and start to tremble? Does your body get tense? Do you lose your voice? So these are the signs of uh, what's this? Stage fright. So we have the dry mouth, uh, tight throat, sweaty hands, cold hands, even shaky hands, or give me a hand. Oops, I couldn't resist. Or nausea or sickness. Do you feel a faster pulse, shaky knees, or trembling lips? In I remember when I was in high school. I think that was in early college days. I joined choir in a church, and then one day we scheduled for a concert in the church. So we have to sing like 8 or 9 songs. I don't know. I was attacked by stage fright, even though there were many of us. But the thought of performing in front of many crowd really put jitters in my stomach. Like I feel what happened to me is that my cheek here is shaking when I sing. While I open my mouth, even my brother who is on the audience noticed it that my cheek was moving on its own. It's because of the nervousness on that performance. So the answer here, don't worry, you are not alone. You is a text messaging style. Okay, fear of public speaking has been rated as the number one fear in America. Some say it is more fear than death. Truth is that most people just don't want to talk about their fear of being in front of a group. So even the fearless criminal is stutters in front of a camera, for example, or a microphone. So what causes this? So these are some of the things that can cause a stage fright, like inadequate preparation. Like it is understood, like in our extemporaneous speech, you are only given 4 to 5 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes of preparation. So somehow that will really make you anxious to just to even write an outline. So what else? You also fear of being judged. Like what would they say? They might laugh at my grammar or my vocabulary. I don't know how to speak English, or I don't look good in front of the camera, or other stuff like that. They might say I'm no good, or I don't look good. So that's one thing. What else? Lack of familiarity with the audience or the setting. So I experimented with my class. There were cases when I combined my classes with different classes in online. So some of them really noticed that there were new classmates in the same uh, link. So they asked, "Sir, is that a new enrollee or what?" So I said I combined your class to another class because there were just few remaining presenters left. So somehow they feel that adds to the nervousness because they're not familiar with the audience, or sometimes we're not familiar with the setting. We don't know that we are. We thought we were just speaking to a small group of people, but upon arriving on the venue, you're surprised that whoa, there were hundreds of people. Even adults are prepared to listen to me. So somehow that adds to the anxiety. I remember when we did there were some years when I was chosen as our representative to market or to sell to the provinces. So as part of the career guidance program of the University of Mindanao. So I was chosen as one of the three faculty members who will be traveling all over Mindanao and go to schools and tell them about So we invite enrollees to come over Davao City. So normally we just present in inside the classroom. We just ask for 5 to 10 minutes, maximum of 15 minutes from the teacher in order to introduce our school, like to tell them about the scholarships available, the facilities that we have, the accreditation level we are in. So, but there were times when the school is already prepared. It's like they really had a schedule for the career guidance, and they invited schools to come over, and they just gather the students around in a gym. So every school with their representative has to speak in front of a microphone. Can you imagine that? uh, Sometimes we speak to as much as 300 students. So that adds to the anxiety if you're a newbie or a beginner speaker. But in our case, we we consider it better to speak to just one big audience than small audiences in many rooms, because it saves us time and effort, and we accomplish more by doing that because we can go to other schools earlier. So that's one thing. Another thing is the lack of knowledge about public speaking. Some of us don't know even what to do, or some have no experience whatsoever. They say, "Sir, this is my first time to recite in front of other people." what? Like, what did you do in high school? But it's not for me to judge what they were doing or the kind of experiences that you had. Probably there were so many students in your class that you were not even given one opportunity to do it, or you were not taught the do's and don'ts of public speaking. And I think that is a very relevant description of the most of us, or the most of the students who were, especially those who were exposed in the provinces, because you're not familiar with the structure of a good speech. Like, you don't know how to introduce, how to begin the introduction, how to put support in your topic sentences in your main paragraphs, and how to end your talk. So that could somehow be a cause of anxiety and fear of speaking. Probably you're just used to being a listener but not a speaker. Okay, next is feeling inadequate. Like, sometimes you feel that you're too young to be talking something like this to speakers who are older than I am. So you could have that feeling. I am glad that my youngest son did not have that kind of feeling. I was surprised to see him speak in front of like a dozen teachers, a dozen adults, and he was teaching them how to teach, something like that, like how you should teach from the perspective of a student. So he was telling them that as a student, this is what I observe with my teachers, and I think this is how they can improve. They can, for example, they can add. I asked him to prepare his own PowerPoint presentation, and he was invite. We were invited to speak in a public school in third district of Davao, and he was like 16 years old at the time. And there he spoke in front of the English teachers, and the principal even was there, and he presented his own PowerPoint presentations and with his own points. It's just a short talk, like a 15-minute talk, but it was very sincere. But it was very confident doing that. I took a video of it even because as a father, I was surprised to hear him speak. I didn't have the opportunity to do that while he was growing up. I thought he is an introvert, but when he spoke in front of that crowd, I was surprised that he had that kind of confidence. So he did not feel inadequate speaking in front of teachers when he is still a student even. So I didn't feel any stage fright with him whatsoever. So it's a gift probably, but I think it came from his confidence of being prepared for that talk. So at 16, he was already given a certificate as a speaker in a neutral accent training session with the teachers as participants. Then what else? Fear of the unknown. Sometimes we can explain the causes of the cause of the fear. Like, I don't know. It's just that I'm afraid of something. I don't know what. So that's the fear of the unknown. You worry too much. In Bisaya, we call it advance ka mag-isip or something ganyan. That's Tagalog, I think. So you worry about things that hasn't happened yet, or that is probably not happening. Okay, what else? Haunting past experiences. This is something I can't blame the students about. Like, they tried at a young age, they tried to recite in class and they were humiliated by the teacher, or they were threatened if did not do well. So somehow that affected their confidence in standing up in front, knowing probably my college teacher would do the same, would embarrass me in front of people or would humiliate me. So I would rather keep myself silent throughout the year. So that's a big problem, especially in my classes, because I'm not fond of calling names to recite. I want my students to volunteer, kumbaga kusang palo, when uh, we have recitations. So I want them to really volunteer and stand up instead of being of waiting to be called by the teacher. So what else? Anxiety. It is an unusual, fearful feeling that everyone goes through when faced with an important task. So another term for this is worry. Worrying. So we have here some questionnaire on speech anxiety. So to find out if you are a victim of this or if you have this kind of tendency. So you answer one for none, two for very slightly, or four for intense or very intense. So for example, when you speak, do you have a weak voice, shortness of breath, awkward pauses, a preference to look up and down? You don't look at the camera, or you don't look at the audience in that sense if it's live. What else? Rapid heartbeats. Sometimes you feel like your blood is shooting up to your brain. Then playing with a pen or hanky, so you become restless. You always love to play with your handkerchief or pen. So that's a sign of anxiety. So if you have those kind of tendency, grade it according to intensity. So you would find out later on. Oh, wait a minute. Then we have another symptom, since no eye contact with the audience, or moving too much, moving in a sense that it's obvious that you were nervous, or trembling hands. I remember when I have reporters who are nervous and they are holding their copies with their hands and the copies begin to shake. It's really a funny sight to be. Also, what they do is they put the paper on the table and they just read it from there. Okay, what else? Feeling cold. You feel even though the aircon is on, you still sweat all over. Okay, then inability to think clearly. Sometimes you are already in the middle of your speech, then you say, "Oops, I'm sorry, sir. I have to go back. I forgot my the next line or the next point." So that happens. So especially if you're facing a good-looking teacher like me, that happens. Just kidding. Okay, number 12, we have the dry mouth and throat. That is why good speakers, they always bring with them, or they request a bottle of water under the lectern, because there are cases where our throats dry up. And that happens to me sometimes, even in this short lecture. So I always make sure I have some water when doing so. Then, no facial expression. You want to end the speech immediately. So sometimes, even if the minimum is 2 minutes, you're done in in 1 minute. So sometimes I ask the students to really redo their work because it doesn't have much support. There was only 1 point instead of 3 points, because they want to finish the talk as soon as possible. So I always tell them that don't do that, because this only happens not all the time. No, it's very rarely we have recitations like this. So you might as well give it your best, because it just happens once or twice within the semester. What else? Too fast rate of speech. So because you were nervous, you speak too much, and what happens is it affects the clarity of your speech. What else? Feeling dizzy. Uh, well, probably the best thing to do is you take some medicines if you're having that kind of emotion or feeling. What else? Feeling awkward and clumsy. You don't, you're not comfortable moving around or in your talk. So sometimes you're clumsy, things begin to fall, the pen falls from the table, you hit the microphone or stuff like that. Then you're perspiring too much, even though it's air conditioned. So that's a sign of nervousness. And number 19, yes, feeling nervous, or you have a shaking voice. So if you have these kinds of uh, sensations on your talk, then grade yourself accordingly. So, what happens if you have 100 to 80, 80 to 100 scores? It means you do not worry. All is not lost. Speaking skills are required. With a little help and deliberate efforts on your part, you will become a good speaker. But if you have 79 to 59, then that's good. However, you have to spend more time preparing yourself for public speaking. Then, but if you have 30, 58, 38 to 58, so that it's still very good. With a little more training, you will become a better speaker. And if you have 37 to 20, congratulations, you are potentially an effective speaker. So the lower your scores, the higher it will go, the better it is. Okay, so how do you overcome? So these are some tips that literally uh, give you some ideas on how to overcome this. Okay, so these are the strategies for reducing stage fright. Okay, so first we have the cognitive strategies. Cognitive comes from it means thinking. Okay, so the most detrimental is catastrophizing. It's like, I think I'm going to faint. You feel there's a catastrophe coming up. So I'm sure to make a dreadful mistakes, and that will ruin everything. No, advance mag-isip, and you're thinking in a negative way. So it's really bad. So let's make it a point to go for realistic appraisal. Like, I'm bound to make a few mistakes, but so does everyone. I feel nervous, but everyone else is nervous too. So what the heck? No, like, the audience wants me to play well and will make allowances for a few slips. It's okay to commit mistakes in front of these people, but I know that the audience will be with me and support me for that. So mistakes will happen, and some are even very costly, like what Steve Harvey committed, announcing the different Miss Universe. How how costly is it, or how shameful it is? So and he is a very good and well experienced public speaker. Yet he commits mistakes like that. But one thing admirable about that guy is he admitted the mistake as soon as possible, and he made corrections immediately. That's why for us we might say that he won't be given a chance to host a Miss Universe again because of that mistake. But we were wrong. The next year he was there and he did it right. And the thing is, what happened in the past was even included as part of his jokes, and it made the audience laugh about his mistakes in the past because it's a thing of the past. And he was able to redeem himself for those mistakes on the second time around. So it's not it doesn't really matter how many times you fall down. What's important is how were you able to rise up, from those catastrophic mistakes. Can't imagine myself doing that or committing that kind of mistake. But it happens even to the most experienced speakers. So a new acronym for this is we have the Fear Buster. So it's an acronym. Oh, okay. So first, Fear Buster starts with F. Focus on your most powerful experience. Relive the most powerful experience and feel the confidence and power flow through your veins again. Speak with this power in your heart. So you don't think about your mistakes or your failures in the past. Think about the victories that you had in public speaking. So and you take it from there. What else? Energize yourself. Your adrenaline pumping through your veins. So you have adrenaline pumping through your veins. Your heart is racing, your muscles are all tense up, your eyes are shifty, and you are unsettled. You are ready to bolt for the door, or are you? So harnessing this nervous energy or make it work for you. So how? Well, you move around because you feel like moving because of the energy inside you. Is there really a need to bolt yourself to the ground? I found that walking around the room and gentle gesticulating from time to time using your arms, it allows you to dissipate your nervous energy based on the experiences of others. So instead of feeling nervous, you say you're excited to do something. You ask the best athletes if if they were asked, "Are you nervous before the competition?" They say, "No, I'm not. I'm excited." So nervous is a negative emotion, while being excited is a positive one. So that makes a big difference. A, acknowledge your fears. No, fear is here to protect us, not to paralyze us. It's a really good, what do you call this? Protective mechanism given by God for us to protect us from harm. So it's good to have fear. Imagine a person without fear. That's scary. Okay. Don't run away from being afraid. No, so acknowledge it as being part of you. Use it to identify the possible pitfalls. So being prepared and your subject knowledge will give you a self assurance. And if they don't, then at least you're all ready to execute plan B anyway. Okay, I've been biking for like 22 years already on my mountain bike. Almost every day I bike my way to school. And going going with my friends with other bikers helps me learn a few tricks like a wheelie or a bunny hops or some manual indos, stuff like that, or some uh, what do you call this? Uh, high drops. But sometimes I cannot risk my equipment because in the past I had some crashes. I had some big slice here on my forehead, 4 stitches because of a bike accident and other stuff. So somehow those experiences will cause you to be afraid to try something new or to do something scary. So sometimes it really helps to protect you that to assess the situation if your bicycle can do it or if your skill is enough to do that or what are the risks if you fail. So and somehow it has protected me through the years. Sometimes I feel like oops, that's beyond my skill. I cannot do that. It's too risky. There are jeepneys behind me, so I cannot do this trick. I might fail and commit the accident. So stuff like that. So in public speaking, it helps you become more careful with the words you say, with the decisions that you make. So fear is good. Then being prepared, what else? And if they don't, then at least you're ready for it to execute a plan B anyway. For example, in your talk, a brownout happens and you're the host of a party. So what are you gonna do? You just walk out? No, you've got to have a plan B. So as most great speakers do. What else? Then relax. No, so breathe. Take a deep breath. Take deep breaths and regulate your breathing. Let your breathing regulate and calm your heart rate. So if you feel like If you're so nervous, so take deep breaths. Then slowly release it slowly. Then it helps you relax. Moving on. B, believe in your value. You got to believe in the value of your message. So know that your presentation has the potential to change lives, change decisions, okay, change the personality of a person. So your words are powerful and can impact lives in more ways than one. And this best works together with a point T below. So we have a saying here, if you don't know your own worth and value, then do not expect someone else to calculate it for you. So you know who you are. So that's where your confidence should come from. Then, so you notice the pastors, for example. I really admire preachers who speak on the streets with a megaphone on. Like they know their presentation has the potential to change lives, so they don't care what people say. They even some of them would even sound crazy. Can you imagine preaching to inside a bus, a public bus full of people? That sounds really embarrassing. But if these people know that what they do would somehow change even just one life inside a bus, it's gonna be worth it. So that somehow would motivates them to overcome their stage fright of public speaking. So what is this point T below? Okay, so first before the T we have the U. Understand the audience. So you have to understand that the audience are here to hear you succeed. They are not there to witness you fail or commit mistakes. They're here for value and they want you to succeed. So they're not here to poke fun at you, or they're here to listen to you speak. So you have something that they want. Their leader and source of information, and only you can satisfy them. So remember, you are powerful. If you're speaking, reporting as a student, think of it as like you're the teacher of the day. Even the teacher learns from you. Okay, so that's, I remember my college days. That's how I think. I even report for the whole hour, and sometimes I even extend the next day because I do it like a practice time for me to be a future teacher. So as a student, when I report, I feel like I'm really the real teacher of the day. And true enough, that experience helped me in my application here in UM. I think three of my panel interviewers, there were five of them. I think the three of them were my former teachers, and they know how I do in class. So when I was interviewed, there's nothing much to show, or nothing much to find out about me, because they know who I am as a student. And I am not just a student. At that time, I was the vice president for the student teachers, and I speak most of the time in front of a group. And I was also the president of a campus ministry, Baptist campus ministry, during my college days. So I'm used to preaching inside classes for the whole hour, classrooms. So even as a student. So right after I graduated, I became a teacher right away. So even though I don't have an experience, I don't have board exams, I don't have master's units yet. I was an elementary education graduate. So I'm supposed to teach in the elementary department, but right away after I graduated, I taught in college. So the only credential I have is my past experiences. Oh, I passed the civil service exam. That's one of the legal credentials I submitted with UM. But aside from that, nothing else. Okay, so believe in yourself. Then changing one's physiology and mental state. So if you slouch and look down, so that's where smiling helps. So if you were to quicken your pace, dig in your heels, and run around like the 2-year old nephew or niece, chances are you'll be feeling on top of the world. So smile and pretend that you're enjoying yourself. And soon enough, your body will tell your brain that you're happy, and before you know it, fear will be drowning. So that's one of the tips. So you just feel happy while presenting. So smiling can attract other audiences to smile with you, and when that happens, you feel that they are with you all throughout your speech. So, and you feel their support. Then what else? T, talk to yourself. This is the T. Not why you can't, but why you can. And so one of the best ways is what I do know, what do I know that they don't? Okay, have the audience got my experience? And what can I offer these people that my competitors can? Know your niche and build it up. Then share it. You'll be amazed how many people will pay to learn from those specialized skills, knowledge, and experience which you built up over time. So don't put yourself down, even if some other people are more intelligent, but you know something that they don't. I remember when I see gardeners of the university uh, doing their thing. Sometimes I ask them, bro, like, unsaon pagtanom ani nga tanom, and they love to talk about these things because I ask them and I tell them I don't know anything about that. Can you teach me? And they become teachers for a few minutes. So they teach. They love to speak because they know something about it. Even though they were just gardeners and I'm a professor, but they feel like, well, I know more than you do in terms of gardening. So how do you propagate this plant? Am I doing this correctly? If I do this, if I do that, and they give me a lot of tips. So, sir, this is how you do it, and blah blah blah. Don't do it or don't do that. Better you use this. They feel good doing that because they have the chance to tell somebody or share what they know. So you do the same. And finally, enjoy yourself. Get out on the stage and seek to have fun. Okay, so talk about something that you feel strongly about or you have fun telling people about. Begin with telling jokes, telling funny stories, and when people are laughing, when you will soon realize that you don't feel any fear anymore. Okay, then rejoice. So same with having fun. Don't visualize yourself as a loser. We have lots of long spelling here. Sorry, it's not my doing. Loser is just one O. Visualize is just one S. These are minor clerical errors. But as victorious at the end of the presentation, think of the amount of gratitude your audience will have. Okay, so think about the smiles and laughter which you would have created. Say goodbye to Mr. Negativity and summon Mr. Positivity. So think about something that empowers you, not something that paralyzes you. So these are just some of those tips. Okay, here are some more before we go. Be in the room early. So these are practical tips on your presentations. Yawn to relax your throat, no, manguyab. And doodle, write something on a piece of paper. So that helps you relax. Don't drink caffeinated drinks like soft drinks, coffee, chocolate. Then go somewhere private and warm up your voice or muscles. That's why singers would even do vocalizing. Ha 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 before they sing. So that helps them relax. Then power poses. Practice your stance in the stage. Then hide speaking notes around the stage area. So if you don't have lecterns, then don't show people that you're holding it. Okay, so shake hands and smile with attendees before program because it helps you get to know them better. Okay, then double check your audiovisual equipment to see if the projector works, if do you need sound system, then request it ahead of time. Then test the mic. see if the echo is really too much or too little. If the auditorium releases a big echo, so you have to speak slowly. Remember in a church, so no priest would speak fast because he is aware of the effects of sound waves inside the room. What else? Now say something to someone and make sure your voice is ready to go. So these are just some practical tips that you can apply. Strategies. Oh, what is this? Where you're before when the presentation begins. So if your legs are trembling, lean on a lectern or table. Shift your legs or move about. Don't hold notes. Use eye contact, especially with the most supportive audience. Look at them. Look at the friendliest faces in the audience. Do not comment on your nervousness. I'm sorry, I'm so nervous today. No, don't do that. So don't highlight your nervousness. Uh, there are other tips for a great speech. Speak up. Make sure to speak a little louder than normal conversations when you're giving your speech. You're not just like talking to somebody in front of a coffee table. You're talking to a group of people. So somehow your voice should be a little bit louder, especially when you report in a classroom or when you are asked to lead a prayer over a party or a birth or a celebration. Speak louder. Then slow down when you're giving your speech to your listeners. Remember to slow your speech down a little bit and don't rush through the words. Make sure to enunciate and don't slur your words either. Okay, so you notice how the blacks people speak? Like, do you understand the words coming out of my mouth? Remember Chris Tucker in Rush with Jackie Chan? He speaks so fast. And sometimes when you are not that good listener, you won't be able to catch up on his words. My favorite public speaker is Simon Sinek. When he is talking to somebody over an interview, a TV interview, he speaks so fast because it's like a normal conversation. But when he speaks in front of a crowd, you will notice that he speaks a little bit slower because it's different. Okay, be confident. You can do this and believe in yourself. Okay, so in short, understanding presentational anxiety and applying some of these techniques and suggestions will help you overcome the more paralyzing forms of stage fright. They might become very useful when you give your next speech. Okay, so know the room, know the audience, know your material, relax, visualize giving your speech, and gain experience. Even if you commit mistakes, you still gain experience from that. And people want you to succeed, so don't worry. Don't apologize. Concentrate on your message, not on the medium. Turn nervousness into positive energy. Uh, so practice takes you from this uh, to an improved state. Okay, so we'll stop from here. We'll discuss this one in some other days. But I hope this helps, especially the rest of the presenters who have not yet recited, to become more confident when speaking. Okay, so God bless and see you next time. And oh, bye bye.